Alright, this is the first of examples that I'm giving you for this LED for Ben Eater. And some stuff I'm giving you for this. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. So I want you to look at this for a moment on the breadboard. Well, basically what do we have here? We have a hot and low, and I didn't know it at the time, but it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need another 5 of them. And basically that puts me out to a power source with any radical values, really anything in there. But you're going to start with a battery, which is double slit experiment. I know it seems weird, photons, they work that way in polarization, coming up at actions at spooky distances, and having compelling factors of amperages, milliwatts, megawatts, megavolts, whatever the case may be inside of this original wire. All right, because as far as what I can kind of tell, that's what this is, or this could be the lead. The hot and the cold on that is double slit experimenting with LEDs, and no matter how you do that, you have to conduct some energy to it, and that's when you get into insulators and conductors that would have the same effect. You light up paper to a battery source like that, it's going to catch fire and emit photons, but it doesn't exactly do it in the correct way. And again, so that's that metaphysical crap that you got to get past to really understand this, brother. It's not just looking for the light, you know what I mean? You got to track the rabbit. That's more about what that means. You just can't get out here and have a conversation like I am with this and expect to get paid for somebody. You'd have to be in the proper LED position, you know what I'm talking about? So basically here we have a lead, and we have a, what are they called on an LED? Well, the input and output basically is what this is. And on a very shorter term of phases, photons, they work on polarizations and Penrose stuff coming up, and if it emits light, then to some portional degree it's emitting heat. It's emitting at least in this phase a electromagnetic noise and an electromagnetic field. All that's happening in terms of what that photon is doing. The photon is also an electron, it's also a neutron, it's also something that has spin of those ideas in a fraction, that if they come to this thing, angry little pixies, and they go through the LED, they go through that slit, that's because the whole thing would probably have some kind of charge to it. Let's say whatever the reducing voltage limiter into there with other variances of their position inside of that. So you might need multiple LEDs. You might need multiple volt protection or something in different series to the entirety of that action. Because remember, this photon works that way. It works in ones and zeros, but it wants to work in such a way that this entirety of the thing was known, right? Because then it's a circuit. Then it knows, the timing loops, or at least it doesn't know. It's a computer. The ones and zeros will output between steps with consistency. They will FMA in continuum forever, as long as something doesn't burn out inside of here or you go changing something around. And so when you get into that type of Apple mechanic, you're gonna have to deal with some LED testing and a few other things inside of here. Given just that simple diagram, that would just been the first step for what it does. And obviously I've looked into a few things inside here before I just decided to just jump off the boat here.
9 to 2 volts that it wanted. The LED started drawing a ton of current, and of course, since power is,
and if it was my theory, this is what you should teach them in MIT to get started with. Restart fundamentals at that level of MIT for duality and wave particle, and talk about it right here.
And we'll keep going.
Now this is, if anywhere, is the ground for the start of this conversation. And without this experiment,
just the faintest little bit of light coming out of the LED, and we're at 1.6